This is a documentary that every single person who buys clothes in the Western world should watch. Literally every single person. I watched it several years ago, but just a few days ago I realized that my husband, who is a person that is usually very informed about social and economical injustice around the world, not only didn't know this movie, but he didn't even know much about this whole topic. The true cost of the fast fashion industry. The expression fast fashion refers to all those very cheap clothes that you are able to buy in the Western world since 2005 on. I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but before 2005, a t-shirt would not cost less than 20-30 euros. A pair of pants would not cost less than 80-100 euros. A blazer would be at least 100. And now with brands like H&M, Zara, Bershka, here in the US they have Forever 21, but not only those, also Walmart, Poshmark, and these huge discount stores, they are all part of the problem. How are these clothes so cheap? How is it possible? It's not mainly a matter of cheap materials. It's not a matter of automation in sewing the clothes. It is mainly a matter of wages of the garment workers who produce the clothes in third world countries, who not only by working hours and hours per day, every day, they don't make enough money per month to live a life with dignity, but they also work in extremely unsafe work environments, spending hours and hours every day at close contacts with harmful chemicals, operating in buildings that may collapse at any point, in rooms that are very poorly ventilated. You need to watch this movie documentary, please. And I repeat, it's not about fashion, it's not about social justice activists, it's not about environmentalists. This is a movie that everyone should watch. This is basic information about how the economy in our world works. Visit the website of the movie, 𝘠𝘠𝘪𝘚.com, to rent the movie for $6 or buy it for $10. I believe these are the prices. Also, after you watch the movie, go back to the website to gather more information about this topic. Believe me, you're gonna want to gather more information about this topic after watching this movie. Another website that I highly recommend, and it's the one where I got to know this movie from years ago, is fashionrevolution.org. Again, this is not about fashion and trends. I couldn't care less about that. This is about how garments are produced and sold. I'm a person who is usually considered a strong, independent woman, and yet I don't consider myself a feminist. Instead, I feel pretty hostile against nowadays feminists. And I'm not talking about historical feminism. If I were born back in the days, I would most likely be a feminist, but nowadays feminism is what I never liked. And that's because too often it is all about wearing certain clothes, having certain appearance, having a certain attitude, and in general hating men. I have the feeling that nowadays feminism has turned into a very shallow kind of movement, and I really don't want to be part of it. And that's why when I came across the YouTube video, Emma Watson to the United Nations, I am a feminist, I felt like this one was speaking for myself. She exposed the same exact problems that I have with feminism, but didn't give up on the matter like I did many years ago. She actually made a proposition, which I'm gonna let you hear right now.
I've seen young men suffering from mental illness, unable to ask for help, for fear it would make them less of a man.
And guess who are those men who end up being violent with women? Do you think are those who are in peace with their emotions, or do you think they are those who feel emotionally repressed and feel the need to be masculine?
I've seen men made fragile and insecure by a distorted sense of what constitutes male success. Men don't have the benefits of equality either. We don't often talk about men being imprisoned by gender stereotypes, but I can see that they are, and that when they are free, things will change for women as a natural consequence. Both men and women should feel free to be sensitive. Both men and women should feel free to be strong. It is time that we all perceive gender on a spectrum instead of two sets of opposing ideals.
This spring, I felt particularly stressed and unmotivated, and this book has helped me a little bit to soothe these negative emotions. First of all, I want to thank Marcello, one of my patrons, who kindly bought this book and sent it to me as a gift. Silvano Agosti, an Italian author, Lettere dalla Kirghizia, letters from Kirghizia. But you can find this book also translated in English and in several other languages as well. It is extremely short, 130 pages, but as you can see, it's written very loosely. It is the narration of an extremely beautiful and happy place that exists in the imagination of the author, and now that we read it, it exists also in our imagination. It is basically the narration of a utopia, but the author makes very clear in several parts of the book, and I want to repeat this thought to you, that once you are able to imagine a reality, that reality exists already, because it exists in your imagination. And if it exists there, it is much easier to gain existence, I don't know if it's the right word in English, in the real world. So if you want a little reading that will make you gain hope in the world and in humanity, and make you inspired by creating a better world around you, this is a great choice. I selected 2 pieces of music to recommend you and 1 album. The first one is Lump by James Holden. If you don't know James Holden, he's a British techno producer, one of the most important producers in the melodic techno scene. Lump is the first track of his very first album, released in 2006, The Idiots Are Winning. The whole album is a little jewel, even if I don't think it's his best album, but I want to recommend in particular this very first track. And I also have to recommend to listen to it with good speakers or possibly very good headphones, because electronic music, especially pure electronic music like techno, requires very good audio systems to be heard. If you have just an average, mediocre speakers, it's better that you listen to pop music, because you're not gonna get the audio quality that this type of music absolutely requires. Lump is a track that I was obsessed about for a couple of months during the spring 2012. I was attending my 4th year in university. It is a track that I am very affectionate to. I used to listen to it while biking away from home to commute to places, and it really, every time I listen to it, it reminds me of the good season coming out, those first lukewarm days of sunshine. This is obviously just my personal memories, but the track itself, it's amazing. I suggest you to listen and re-listen to it, because at least for me, it was not a track that I fell in love immediately. I had to listen to it several times before understanding the value of it. You have to be able to separate in your mind the various layers of sound that the producer stacked on top of each other, and be able to appreciate the minimalistic simplicity of these layers and how they interact with each other. Still, nowadays, after 8 years, every time I listen to it, I notice a new sound or a new variation of interconnection of the sounds. great track if you're a music lover. If you're not a music passionate, but you still enjoy some pop music here and there, I have a great track from the past to rediscover for you. It is called Point of View by DB Boulevard. And it is only thanks to making research for this video that I discovered that DB Boulevard is an Italian music group. I had absolutely no idea. This song is their most famous song. It was a hit in 2001 when it was released, and it is sang in English, so I never realized that these people were Italian, honestly. So I'm a little proud of this because I think this is one of those great pop songs, which is something pretty rare in the pop music world, at least in my opinion. In 2001, I was 11 and I remember this song perfectly. I remember the video clip because that was the golden age of MTV, so every song that would come out had a video clip attached. I hadn't heard this song in years, and I don't know how, a couple of months ago, it just came to my mind and I went to Google it. I didn't even remember exactly the title of the song, but I finally found it. And fun fact, it was the very first time that I could listen to it and understand the lyrics, which are in English, because, you know, up to a few years ago, I wasn't so fluent in English, so I wasn't able to understand all the lyrics. And they are so positive and so optimistic. I really like them. I like everything about this song, so there you go. By the way, in the last couple of months, it became my favorite song while I vacuum my apartment. And my last recommendation is this album, Boyo Boys, Back in Town. This is a discovery I made thanks to my husband Ali, because he's crazy about African music and vinyls as well. This is a 1987 release by Rounder Records Corporation, made in Canada. They are a South African band, and I think this album in particular is perfect for spring because it's so fresh, energetic, in a very lightweight way. And give it a try. I absolutely love it. I start dancing every time I put it on. If you enjoyed these recommendations, stay tuned and subscribe to the notifications of this channel, because I'm about to release a newsletter where I'm gonna also recommend every time one item, together with other types of contents that you will see in the newsletter. More news about that coming soon. If you want to watch my winter edition recommendations, click here. And if you want to support me on Patreon, you can click on this link where you can find extra content from 𝘔𝘪𝘵 𝘔𝘠𝘕.